Hi, I'm Charles Shepard, CEO and Chief Curator of the Fort Wayne Museum of Art. I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you the art of Heather Day, an extraordinary emerging contemporary artist whom I'm sure you'll enjoy. California-based artist Heather Day makes abstract paintings comprised of scraped, smeared, and flooded pools of pigment. The compulsive energy of her work oscillates between rehearsed abandon and careful restraint. Her encompassing murals, large canvases, and intimate drawings study the mechanisms of sensory perception, mining what happens when the body interprets a sound as a texture or scent as a color. This is Day's first solo exhibition at a museum. It was curated by Lauren Wolfer, Associate Curator of Special Collections and Archives at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art. Behind me is Heather's painting, Fever Dream. In this painting, we can see two very strong influences that have impacted her artwork today. One is the influence of abstract expressionism, and two is the influence of color field painting. What separates Heather's style from abstract expressionism, her lines stay within the square or rectangle of her canvas, whereas in abstract expressionism, think Jackson Pollock, the lines would go everywhere and they would infinitely spray off the edges of the canvas. Heather always keeps them contained and surrounded. In color field painting, maybe Helen Frankenthaler is a good example. You'd have blocks of color, but very little line. Heather goes to that line though for the energy of the painting. The line is zipping and zapping through the different blocks of color, sometimes going behind, sometimes over and around, and that's where all the energy comes from. In this particular painting, Fever Dream, you'll notice that it's split into two rectangles. That split is the chasm of tension in the whole painting, and she'll give you little drips along the edge of that split to accentuate, in case you missed it, that this is a divide in this painting, and that divide intentional and important. Heather's use of color is fascinating to me because it may look random to our naive eye, but Heather is a colorist in a very literal way. She works off color wheels charts so that every color has been precisely chosen to work with another color in any painting she does. In Heather's painting, Slow Bougainvillea 6, we see examples of her process that are, in my mind, extraordinary. First of all, she begins, in this case, with staining the shapes of her canvas. That's going to involve thinning her pigment out and pouring it directly onto the canvas and hope that she can guide it into the shape she wants to. That in itself is a feat. Add to that, though, she's got to concentrate such that the blue pool of stained paint, when it intersects with the green pool, and then they both intersect with the orange pool, that the colors that those intersecting pools create are the right colors that she wants and the right colors for this particular painting. It's a high wire act, and Heather does it very well. On top of those pools, she's also added painted line with a little bit thicker paint, which activates the surface and almost looks three-dimensional in comparison to the thinner stained paint. I was excited to acquire Heather's Slow Bougainvillea 6 painting for the Museum of Art's collection. First, because it's such an exciting piece, so masterfully done, it just moved me the moment I saw it. Secondly, though, and maybe more importantly, this kind of painting fits in the context within our collection of abstract art that we've acquired over all these years. So it has a family, it belongs, and it will come out on exhibit for years to come. Here we have two of Heather's exquisite works on paper, Ruminating Fluorescent Orange and Recite 2. Heather's works on paper are very much like her paintings on canvas, but they differ in two key ways. Paper and canvas have different rates of absorbing whatever pigment she puts on. So the paper, the pigment will rest more on the surface, so the blending that she uses so effectively in the paintings isn't going to work quite the same way on paper. Secondly, her paper works are smaller, so she has to reduce the number of elements in each composition and keep it lively through the nature of the color and through the line that she darts across the picture plane. Another difference in some of Heather's works on paper is that there's dimensionality in that she has color blocks on the first sheet of paper, and then she's added color block shapes on top of that piece of paper to give it depth, to give it dimensionality, and to have an exciting result for our eye to see. An extremely exciting component of this exhibition is Heather's mural, Cinder Scaffold number 2, which is directly behind us. Heather was having a 3-day residency. She put together a team of 3 others, and together we watched this painting unfold before our eyes on the walls of the gallery. Though Heather could not pour paint on the wall as she does with her canvases in the studio, she includes in her composition broad pools of color layered to blend hues. She creates texture with different brush techniques and leads our eye with the red and black strokes that are threaded throughout the mural. The tempo is quickened with what look like scribbles near the bottom of the mural, also serving as alluring pops of color as we approach the wall. This painting, Carte Blanche, lets us explore the personality of a brushstroke and its unique relationship with the other strokes in the composition. The noticeable absence of Heather's signature pools of paint is a clue to the origins of this work. She says, "The canvas was accidentally stretched backwards. As a result, it was the perfect surface to sample marks and colors before adding them to the nearly completed paintings around it. Marks overlap each other, colors almost identical to one another line up side by side. Carte Blanche is an emblem of conversation, an archive of the banter between paintings as I finish them. The rehearsed marks are attempts at formed sentences or dissected thoughts. Though they're now divorced from the conversation they once contributed to, they still carry on its context." I want to thank you for joining me on this exhibition tour. If you'd like to know more about Heather Day, the artist, please go to heatherday.com. If you'd like to know more about what's happening at the museum, please go to FWMoA.org. Thank you so much.